Moscow, August 1939. The world holds its breath as something unthinkable unfolds. Two sworn enemies, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, sit across from each other, ready to sign a pact of non-aggression. These aren't allies. They're polar opposites. Fascism versus communism. Fire and ice. Yet here they are, shaking hands while secretly carving up Eastern Europe like a butcher dividing meat. Poland, the Baltic nations, chunks of Romania. All marked for conquest. This deal doesn't just shock the world, it detonates it. Germany now faces no two-front nightmare. The Soviets gain land and breathing room. Within days, the German war machine will roll into Poland, unleashing the most devastating conflict humanity has ever witnessed. But who's the man behind this diplomatic earthquake? Who convinced Stalin to dance with Hitler? His name is Joachim von Ribbentrop, Hitler's foreign minister, alleged lover of a future English duchess, and soon-to-be executed war criminal. If you're ready to dive into one of World War II's most scandalous and twisted stories, smash that subscribe button right now for History of Army. Hit the notification bell so you never miss the dark secrets of military history. Drop a comment below telling us what shocks you most about this story. Let's get into it. The champagne salesman who bought nobility. Ulrich Friedrich Wilhelm Joachim von Ribbentrop arrived in this world on April 30th, 1893, in Wesel, within the borders of Imperial Germany. His father Richard served as a Prussian army officer. His mother Johanna came from landowners with deep pockets. The family bounced between military posts like pinballs, dragging young Joachim through schools and cities. This constant movement shaped him, not into a stable, thoughtful man, but into someone hungry for status and dangerously overconfident. Between 1904 and 1908, he attended the Lycée Fabert in Metz, where he mastered French and English. His classmates didn't see genius. They saw arrogance wrapped in average intelligence. Then scandal struck. In 1908, his father got the boot from the military for allegedly bad-mouthing Emperor Wilhelm II in public. Humiliated, the family fled to Switzerland, where Joachim and his siblings threw themselves into mountaineering and winter sports. At 17, Joachim sailed to Canada seeking fortune and experience in the business world. He soaked up North American culture and polished his language skills even further. But when World War I exploded on July 28, 1914, he abandoned Canada and rushed back to Germany. He joined a cavalry regiment, fighting first on the Eastern Front, then the Western. He earned an Iron Cross after taking a wound in battle. By war's end, he'd landed a staff position in Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul. Germany after the war was a smoking ruin politically and economically. Ribbentrop returned to chaos. In 1920, he married Anna Elisabeth Henkell, daughter of a champagne and wine magnate from Wiesbaden. This marriage wasn't just love, it was a golden ticket. Money flooded in. 5 children followed. He launched a wine importing empire spanning Europe. He traveled endlessly, shaking hands, closing deals, and building a network of wealthy contacts. Here's where it gets sleazy. In 1925, Ribbentrop convinced a distant older relative to officially adopt him. Why? So he could slap the aristocratic von in front of his name. Overnight, plain Joachim Ribbentrop became Joachim von Ribbentrop, nobleman by paperwork. Critics mocked him mercilessly as a fraud who purchased blue blood like a bottle of wine. The snake charmer who seduced Hitler. In 1928, Ribbentrop met Adolf Hitler. By 1932, both he and his wife joined the Nazi Party. Ribbentrop brought 3 things Hitler craved: cash, international connections, and foreign language fluency. He hosted secret gatherings at his Berlin mansion, orchestrating backroom deals that united conservative and nationalist factions behind Hitler. In January 1933, Ribbentrop's home became ground zero for the final conspiracy that installed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. Hitler adored Ribbentrop because the man was a mirror, reflecting Hitler's own thoughts back with absolute loyalty. Hitler distrusted the old guard diplomats, viewing them as weak and outdated. Ribbentrop, by contrast, worshipped Hitler and echoed every belief without question. One German diplomat later recalled with disgust, Von Ribbentrop didn't understand anything about foreign policy. His sole wish was to please Hitler. In 1934, Hitler named Ribbentrop Special Commissioner for Disarmament. Publicly, Ribbentrop preached peace. Behind closed doors, he helped Germany secretly rebuild its military in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles, the document that blamed Germany entirely for World War I. His biggest early triumph came in 1935, when he negotiated the Anglo-German Naval Agreement, which allowed Germany to construct a navy up to 35% the size of Britain's Royal Navy. This wasn't just a treaty. It was a middle finger to Versailles, the ambassador who insulted a king. and seduced his woman. Ribbentrop's star rose higher. He helped forge the anti-Comintern Pact with Italy and Japan, supposedly to combat communism. In 1936, Hitler appointed him ambassador to the United Kingdom. Ribbentrop strutted into London convinced he could charm the British into a Nazi alliance against the Soviets. Instead, he became a diplomatic disaster. He was rude, arrogant, and tone-deaf. He summoned London's finest tailors, made them wait for hours, then sent them away without seeing them, only to demand they return the next day for the same treatment. In February 1937, instead of bowing respectfully to King George VI, Ribbentrop clicked his heels together, thrust his arm out, and shouted, "Heil Hitler," in the king's face. But here's the most explosive allegation. According to the Duke Karl Alexander of Württemberg, in 1936, Wallis Simpson, then the mistress of King Edward VII, carried on a torrid affair with Ribbentrop. The FBI later stated in a 1941 report that there was no doubt the Duchess of Windsor had slept with Ribbentrop. Rumors swirled that Ribbentrop sent 17 red roses to her London flat, each rose representing a night they spent together. Even more damning, sources claim Simpson continuously leaked secrets from her future husband to Ribbentrop, functioning as a Nazi informant. Meanwhile, Ribbentrop's diplomatic performance in Britain collapsed. Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring warned Hitler that Ribbentrop was a stupid ass. Other German diplomats called him lazy and worthless, and vain and ambitious. By 1938, Ribbentrop was yanked out of Britain, having failed every political goal. He returned to Germany seething with hatred for the British, the architect of Armageddon. Hitler, however, valued loyalty above competence. In February 1938, Hitler fired Foreign Minister Konstantin von Neurath and installed Ribbentrop as his replacement. This appointment signaled a brutal shift. Neurath was cautious. Ribbentrop craved war. After the Munich Agreement handed Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland to Germany in fall 1938, Ribbentrop sneered, "First-class stupidity. All it means is that we have to fight the English in a year when they will be better armed. It would have been much better if war had come now." Ribbentrop's crowning achievement arrived in August 1939 when he flew to Moscow and signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Publicly, it promised 10 years of peace between Germany and the Soviet Union. Secretly, it carved up Eastern Europe between the two powers. This pact gave Hitler the green light. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland from the west. Days later, the Soviets attacked from the east. World War II had begun. Over the next 2 years, Ribbentrop constructed the Axis alliance. He negotiated the tripartite pact with Italy and Japan in 1940. He pulled Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Finland, and Bulgaria into Germany's orbit through treaties and neutrality agreements. He campaigned for a Nazi new order across Europe. The genocidal diplomat. Ribbentrop didn't just enable war. He facilitated genocide. He supported the deportation of Jewish people from across Europe to extermination camps. He sent formal diplomatic notes to partner states demanding they implement anti-Jewish laws. He used sanitized diplomatic language, calling mass murder resettlement or labor mobilization, to mask the Holocaust. His ministry provided the bureaucratic cover that helped erase millions of lives. Ironically, Ribbentrop viewed Britain, not the Soviet Union, as Germany's true enemy. He admired Stalin and opposed Hitler's 1941 invasion of the Soviet Union. Allegedly, he whispered to a Soviet diplomat, "Please tell Stalin I was against this war, and that I know it will bring great misfortune to Germany." Hitler ignored him. The invasion proceeded. Ribbentrop's influence began to crumble. As the war turned against Germany, diplomacy became irrelevant. The world was at war with Hitler. Ribbentrop remained foreign minister in title but lost all real power. After the failed July 1944 assassination attempt on Hitler, Ribbentrop, who knew nothing of the plot, eagerly helped persecute diplomats connected to the conspiracy. During one meeting, Hermann Göring, humiliated by Luftwaffe failures, exploded at Ribbentrop. "You dirty little champagne salesman. Shut your mouth." When Göring threatened to strike him with his marshal's baton, Ribbentrop shrieked, "I am still the foreign minister, and my name is von Ribbentrop." The final betrayal. On April 20th, 1945, Ribbentrop attended Hitler's 56th and final birthday party in Berlin. 3 days later, he tried to meet Hitler again but was turned away. The Führer had more important things to do. The man who had worshipped Hitler for over a decade was now trash to be discarded. When Germany surrendered, Ribbentrop fled under a false name. On June 14, 1945, Allied troops arrested him in Hamburg. He tried to hide his identity but was quickly recognized. In November 1945, Ribbentrop stood trial at the International Military Tribunal in Nuremberg. He faced charges of crimes against peace for planning wars of conquest against Austria, Czechoslovakia, and Poland. He faced war crimes charges for mistreating prisoners. He faced crimes against humanity for enabling the Holocaust. He denied everything, claiming he'd simply followed orders. Yet in private, he remained pathetically loyal to Hitler, saying, "Even with all I know, if in this cell Hitler should come to me and say do this, I would still do it." On October 1st, 1946, the tribunal found Ribbentrop guilty on all counts and sentenced him to death. The botched execution. October 16, 1946. Just after 1 a.m., Ribbentrop walked into the execution chamber at Nuremberg prison. He became the first Nazi leader scheduled for execution that night. 2 army sergeants stopped him just inside the door. His last words were, "God protect Germany. God have mercy on my soul. My final wish is that Germany should recover her unity and that, for the sake of peace, there should be understanding between East and West. I wish peace to the world." Just before the hood covered his face, he whispered to the prison chaplain, "I'll see you again." Then the hangman, U.S. Army Sergeant John C. Woods, adjusted the noose and pulled the lever. Ribbentrop dropped through the trapdoor. But the execution was horrifically botched. Woods used the standard drop method instead of the long drop method. The rope was too short. The trapdoor was too small. Ribbentrop's neck didn't break cleanly. Instead, he strangled slowly at the end of the rope. It took 14 agonizing minutes for him to die. He was 53 years old. His body, along with those of the other executed Nazi leaders and Hermann Goering, who had committed suicide the night before, was cremated. The ashes were scattered in the Wensbach, a small tributary of the river Isar, to prevent any Nazi shrine from ever being built. So there you have it. The rise and fall of Joachim von Ribbentrop, the champagne salesman who bought a noble name, allegedly seduced a king's mistress, enabled the Holocaust, and died choking at the end of a rope. If this story blew your mind, do me a favor, subscribe to History of Army right now, hit that like button, and drop a comment telling me which historical figure you want uncovered next. Share this video with anyone who loves raw, unfiltered military history. We're building the most hardcore history community on YouTube, and you're part of it. I'll see you in the next episode where we dig even deeper into the secrets they don't teach in school. Stay strong, stay curious, and never forget history.